welcome back to Open Line, talking about gun legislation in Tennessee. We have with us the Senate Minority Leader, Lee Harris, Democrat from Memphis. Tomorrow we'll have with us John Harris, Tennessee Firearms Association. He'll be with us on Morning Line. We're talking about some of the bills that you have proposed in the Senate and the House that really haven't gone anywhere, some gun legislation. Let's go to the phones. That's what I promised we'd do. Let's go to David. Hello, David.
Hi.
Go right ahead.
Okay, number one, fully automatic weapons are legal in America. It's called a Class 3 weapon, and if you legally own one, you give up your right to search and seizure, and it's probably going to be a wore out, overpriced piece of junk when you get it. Number two, even if there was no such thing as a bump stock, any semi-automatic handgun or rifle, even a 7400 Remington, there's a spot where the hammer, the trigger, the shear release. And all you got to do is have a little bit too much pressure on it, and it will constantly fire until you stop wiggling your finger. And if you wiggle your finger too fast, then the hammer will outrun the bolt, and it will stop firing. The bump stock found a way to get around this by probably some kind of bumper. I view all AR-15s as overpriced pieces of junk that aren't good for anything, and that's any rifle that uses 5.56. And all of these mass killers, excepting for the Las Vegas killer, these guys have all been young men whose parents were too old to father or bear a person because they were over the age of 25, and Asperger's syndrome, most of these guys had it. And if you picket them via the internet or social media, they're gonna dedicate the rest of their life to getting you. When they're born, they're both suicidal and homicidal.
Are you saying because the parents were over at the age of 25?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. Let's go to Brian on line 4, I believe. Brian, go ahead.
Hi, Nick and I. Great to hear you. The last caller kind of rattled me a bit, but I got to tell you, you're doing a really good job of moderating. I don't know if I could do it.
Thank you, Brian.
Let me try to see what I was going to think of. Oh yeah, the governor's race. Now with our great friend Mr. Bredesen back in the race. And then the Republicans, they don't know if they really want to go with Marshall Blackburn. Bob Corker, they're not going to really want him to come back, but he's polling ahead of her against him, so they got a conundrum there. But how do you think this is going to play out in the governor's race in a truly Republican state? And also, my second point is, gun laws seem to vary a lot from state to state. Like in Illinois, you really can't have a gun, like in the big cities. If you go out of the country, in Tennessee, you can, and out in Arizona, there's some towns where they insist that you carry. They want you to. So it seems to vary great. So if you do it, what do you guys think the answer is legislatively-wise, law-wise? If it's a federal law, it ain't going to work because of the Second Amendment. And the state laws, then you circle back to what I was saying, they all vary so greatly. So, legally, I don't really think you can do nothing.
Okay. He's asking a little bit about how does this play out politically? There's a big Senate race. We're a red state. What do you think there?
I think all the Democratic candidates are going to be intend to be in favor of having a debate around school safety and around gun violence. The question is whether or not we're going to see that from the other side of the aisle. It's hard to say. I think Marsha Blackburn is pretty hard right. I think she's pretty, at least from what I can tell of the legislation she's proposed and so forth. In fact, we've had to take efforts like net neutrality to respond to some of the things she's done in Washington. Pretty hard right, pretty Tea Party. And so I'm not sure if she's going to be open to having a debate that has a range of options, but I know the Democratic candidates. So we've got Carl Dean, who of course was a former mayor of Nashville, who's running very hard, working very hard. I've seen him in West Tennessee. He's almost there as much as I am, and I'm from Memphis. And then we've got Craig Fitzhugh, who's of course a minority leader, who is from West Tennessee, who's from Ripley, and he has a long history in state government and knows how government works and so forth, and has carried the budget and worked finance before.
But you think guns will be an issue and and they will be okay in the state.
I mean, it's the biggest issue in America right now. We know we're going to see a march on Washington later in March, and we're going to see demonstrations all across the country. We're going to see demonstrations all across our state. And so it's going to be on the front burner at least for a while. And the fact that there's been inaction in the Tennessee legislature, in fact, there might not even be a debate in the Tennessee legislature. There never has been, and there's no reason to believe there's going to be one this year. I think that could become a campaign issue and something that the Democratic candidates hammer their opponents about.
Let's take Beth before we go to break. Hello, Beth.
Yes.
Go right ahead, Beth.
Oh, okay. So I have a question and a comment. So my question is, I've watched a number of committee hearings, and I've never seen someone other than a bill sponsor roll a bill. Is that allowed? Why was Casada allowed to roll Representative Thompson's bill without Representative Thompson's okay? And my comment is that anyone who thinks bump stocks belong in our communities has no interest in public safety. In Las Vegas, the shooter, a single person, killed 58 people and injured 851 people in a matter of a few minutes. How can anybody think that that's okay? What Casada and Carter did today was appalling. And I just want to thank Senator Harris for his leadership on this bump stock bill and his leadership on gun violence restraining orders.
So again, this was people from Las Vegas, 2 people who were involved, I guess, in the crowd when that shooting took place. We're going to testify today on this bump stock bill in the House, but they were not allowed because it was rolled. The bill was rolled. Meaning it was not discussed today and they didn't get to testify. We covered that at the top of the show. She's asking how that could happen. Right,
that's exactly right. So Representative Dwayne Thompson has a bill that he's tried to have a discussion around since February 22nd. That bill was finally, after a lot of effort, that was finally scheduled for discussion today. And he went there with his witnesses so that he could have a robust discussion and really make sure that people understood the issue of bump stock, how it was used in the worst massacre in U.S. history. He even brought victims of that massacre who have connections with Tennessee into town so that they could share their experience with committee members. And the committee, Glenn Casada taking the lead and the chairman of the committee taking the lead, decided not to hear that bill today. Even though it was scheduled, it was on the agenda, and Dwayne Thompson has been doing everything under the sun to get it scheduled today, and he's been trying since February 22nd. So it wasn't heard, and it's tragic. So, you know, do things like that happen in the Tennessee General Assembly? Not often, right? Not often. Usually norms of behavior require you to have the agreement of the sponsor before you go manipulating the legislative process. But we saw manipulation of the legislative process. And you know, it's frustrating to a lot of us, but the reality is that the legislature is out of whack right now. It's at severe imbalance. There are a lot more conservatives than there are folks of a different perspective, and so we've got to get more imbalance. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, the fact that we're at such imbalance right now hurts all of us, because it means that there are no rules of behavior anymore. There are no norms. It is just whatever, whenever, all day over there. So we need to get more closer to balance.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back, take some more calls, read some comments from Facebook, take a break, be back right after this.